Okay, welcome back to my lore playthrough of Bloodborne on the PS4. We're going slow and steady and just having a real nice, relaxing discussion about the lore of the game Bloodborne and its connections to H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos. The Yog Sothery. So I took care of Gascoigne. Took care of Gascoigne off camera, just because, I mean, the actual boss fight is not that important for a lore playthrough. You've seen me kill him. It doesn't matter. I didn't want to just sit here and in silence or whatever while I try and kill him. So we pick up the red jewel brooch, or brooch, I think it's brooch, engraved with the name Viola. Perhaps the jewel is a gift from a hunter, used to change into a droplet blood gem that fortifies any weapon. It's actually really interesting, because I just read the word Viola, and when I was looking at something else related to the Cthulhu mythos, and I don't think I even talked about this. Did I talk about this? I don't think I did. I feel like I should have, but I didn't. And that's the connection, if any, that I could find between Lovecraft and the Gascoigne fight here. I really don't know if I don't remember if I discussed this, but if I were to find a connection between Gascoigne and Lovecraft, it would be in the music of Eric Zan, which was a short story that he wrote back in 22. I don't believe it has really much to do with Cthulhu mythos. It does have stuff to do with the, cosmic horror. But basically, in the music of Eric Zan, it's about this guy, this student or whatever, that moves into this real shitty apartment complex or something like that in the strange part of city, and he hears this old guy playing music like every night, and it's really like strange music. And I mean, it's a short story, it doesn't matter, but basically he finds out, when he goes to actually observe this guy playing this music, that he's playing the music to sort of keep these cosmic horrors at bay outside of his window. So he's like keeping them at the threshold, keeping them out of the threshold. And the instrument that he plays is a viol, which is also called a viola da gamba. So this brooch is engraved with the name Viola, and in Bloodborne, I didn't do it, I probably should have, but you can sort of keep Gascoigne from killing you, from slaughtering you for a moment. You can sort of bring his humanity back for a moment by playing music from a music box. I really don't know if this is at all what they intended, if this is purposeful or anything like that, but I just thought it was an interesting connection between the music of Eric Zan, where he plays a viol, or viola da gamba, and here you have Gascoigne with the music box, and his wife's name was Viola. Could be a connection. It's not really Cthulhu mythos, so I don't know if I should mention it, but I do think it's kind of cool. Perhaps others will as well. We also got the Odin Tomb Key. Not much there. And finally, we'll be able to move on a little bit. Talk about some new exciting stuff. First, we have a note. Byrgenwerth's spider hides all manner of rituals and keeps our lost master from us. A terrible shame, it makes my head shudder uncontrollably. So, the Byrgenwerth spider is, of course, Rom. And keeps our lost master from us. Now, of course, when you kill Rom, when you go to the weird moon lake next to Byrgenwerth, you kill Rom, that is when the entire game shifts. And that's when, you know, you see Queen Yarnum or whatever, the Thumerian queen. The moon gets just crazy big and red, and the entire sort of atmosphere of the game shifts as the moon presence basically begins to break through into this reality. Now, I guess that's sort of my fundamental problem with the lore of Bloodborne is, if the game is meant to be cyclical, right? There have been other hunters that have gone through, you know, the dream, the Hunter's Workshop, the Hunter's Dream. They've done a contract. They've apparently done this before. And the moon presence has apparently made an appearance before. And, you know, because old Yarnum was, like, overrun by beasts on a night similar to tonight. And yet, what makes the moon presence really break through is the killing of Rom. Now, I guess you could say that, you know, the beasts come out regardless of Rom being dead or not. Like, the beasts are out right now. And so, I guess that's all it took last time for old Yarnum to be just, you know, beset by problems. So, I guess, you know, are we the first hunter here to ever kill Rom? In which case, you know, we're already breaking the cycle by doing that. But then at the end of the game, you know, if you're killed by Gehrman and you choose to wake up, is Rom still dead? I don't know. As far as linking Lovecraft and spiders, there's really only two things. One is Atlach-Naka, who of course is the spider god, but the problem is that was not actually created or ever used by Lovecraft. So I guess it's technically part of the Cthulhu mythos. I would have to add the caveat that it's not anything to do with Lovecraft, but I mean, aside from just being a spider, there's not really any connection between Atlach-Naka and Rom. I mean, Atlach-Naka like spins this great web that when it's complete, the end of the world will come. Hold on. I actually need to check a book. I'm not going to rely on the internet for this part. Let me just double check. Okay. I wish I had a source for this. But, Sources are hard to come by when it comes to Cthulhu mythos. But it seems that Atlach Naka's web that he continually spins, he or she or what, it doesn't matter, that he's continually spinning and will apparently signal the end of the world when he's done. Apparently, the web serves as a bridge between the waking world and the dreamlands. Now, that's interesting. Now, of course, Atlach Naka is, I mean, a bit more... I mean, you know, you have to take things with a bit of a grain of salt in Bloodborne, because you're just running around slaughtering all these creatures. But it seems that Atlach Naka and Ram both share a form of connection between the waking world and the dream world. The thing that I have to, I guess, puzzle out is what exactly happens when Ram dies. Does that create a connection between the waking world and the dream world? Or does that sever a connection? That's really what I have to sort of suss out. And what exactly is Ram? I mean, this thing says Ram wove a web of deception around Yarnum, concealing the Mensis ritual. Killing Ram destroys the web and unveils reality. Huh. I mean, if you look at it that way, you could say that Ram... I mean, the note said, the burglar spider hides all manner of rituals and keeps our lost master from us. I need to figure out who the lost master is. But okay, I guess you could say that Ram has basically crafted an illusion, a dream that we are currently experiencing. And the dream is, I guess, very similar to reality. But there are hidden things that are hidden from us within the dream. And so once Ram dies and this web, this dream is severed, reality, the waking world, is revealed to us. I guess that you could argue that connection.
Hmm? Oh, you must be a hunter. Very sorry. The incense must have masked your scent. Good, good. I've been waiting for one of your ilk. These hunts have everyone all locked up inside, waiting for it to end. It always does, always has, you know, since forever. But it won't end nicely, not this time. Even some folks hiding inside are going bad. The screams of women folk, the stench of blood, the snarls of beasts, none of them's too uncommon now. Yarnum's done for, I tell ya. But if you spot anyone with their wits about 'em, tell 'em about this here Erdon Chapel. They'll be safe here. The incense wards off the beasts. Spread the word. Tell 'em to come on over, if you wouldn't mind.
So a couple things there. He reiterated the concept of the hunter's scent. Something that without the incense he could recognize instantly as just being unique to a hunter. I don't know if we get a tremendous amount of details about that. Also, he says that... Hold on. I want to... Let me just... I'd like to read his dialogue if I can. Apparently I can't. I should... Own Chapel to... Okay. He said... These hunts have everyone all locked up inside, waiting for it to end. It always does, always has, you know, since forever. So it always ends, you know, this night of terrors, of nightmares. But it won't end very nicely, not this time. Yarnum's done for, I tell ya. So what is different about this night compared to all the other nights? Well, I mean, this night, of course, the moon presence is involved. The dream is involved. You know, Rom is involved. All that kind of stuff. But, you know, I was under the assumption that the beast plague did not, you know, it did not trigger without the moon presence. But, you know, this night is much like the night that old Yarnum went down, which we're going to assume, you know, that was another night with the moon presence. But there must be other nights that are bad, you know, the beasts act up or whatever for some reason. Yarnum is apparently somewhat used to this. You know, everyone is used to locking themselves inside and waiting for it to end. But this night, even some folks hiding inside are going bad. I don't know. It's difficult to all just put together as I go through. So, right up here, right up there, there is a lesser amygdala, one of those giant sort of spidery creatures. And you are allowed to see them, you're capable of seeing them under one of two conditions. A, you've got 40 insight, so your mind has been open to cosmic truth, cosmic wisdom. You're able to see on a higher plane of existence. Or B, Rom is dead. So, with that in mind, you know, we can understand that Rom is crafting this illusion that is preventing us from seeing the reality. He is crafting this dream for us. It's not exactly like at Laknaka, but it's probably worthy of a mention, I think. So we're gonna head into Old Yarnum. See if we can't find out more information about the last beast scourge. What exactly went down in Old Yarnum? What are the similarities between that night and this one? And we also get to meet another NPC up here. Bullshit. Let's go meet him.
You're a beast hunter, aren't you? I knew it. That's precisely how I started out. Oh, beg pardon. You may call me Alfred, protege of Master Ligurius, hunter of Vilebloods. So, what say you? Our prey might differ, but we are hunters, the both of us. Why not cooperate and discuss the things we've learned? Oh, very good. Very good indeed. Take this to celebrate our acquaintance. Beast hunting is a sacred practice. May the good blood guide your way. There must be oodles for us to share. Go on. Just tell me what piques your interest.
Healing Church.
As you know, the Healing Church is the fountainhead of blood healing. Well, I'm a simple hunter, quite unfamiliar with the ins and outs of the institution. But I have heard that the holy medium of blood healing is venerated in the main cathedral, and that counselors of the old church reside in the high stratum of the cathedral ward. If you seek blood healing, and the church is willing, you should pay them a visit.
Bergenworth.
Bergenworth is an old place of learning, and the Tomb of the Gods, carved out below Yarnum, should be familiar to every hunter. Well, once a group of young Bergenworth scholars discovered a holy medium deep within the tomb. This led to the founding of the Healing Church and the establishment of blood healing. In this sense, everything sacred in Yarnum can be traced back to Bergenworth. But today, the college lies deep within a tangled wood, abandoned and decrepit. And furthermore, the Healing Church has declared Bergenworth forbidden ground. It's unclear how many of its scholars remain alive, but only they know the password that allows passage through the gate.
Okay.
I bid you farewell. It has been a pleasure. May the good blood guide your way.
Okay, so yeah, that's Alfred. He is well, a bit of a cleric, I suppose you might style him as, but really he's just a hunter. Specifically, though, he calls us a beast hunter. Or he talks about beast hunting. And he says that's precisely how I started out. Which means that he has moved on from beast hunting, and now he is a hunter of Vilebloods. Now, he doesn't really go into discussing Vilebloods at all. We have to talk to him about that later. And so that allows us to discuss the concept of the good blood and the bad blood. So Vilebloods were vampiric aristocrats born from forbidden blood who once lived in Canehurst Castle. And so, yes, they utilized forbidden blood. And so this is an interesting concept. Really, it has nothing to do. I mean, the whole blood thing is already like I can't really link it to the mythos almost at all, except for, you know, the milk of Shub-Niggurath. So I don't have much to say about that, but it is an interesting concept. I mean, yeah. See, the thing is, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to really explain Bloodborne lore. That's not what I'm looking to do. Plenty of people have done that. Plenty of people have wrote essays about it, things like that. I am just trying to find connections between Bloodborne and the mythos. And so, yeah, of course, sometimes having an understanding of the lore in the game is important for that, and other times it's not. Since my whole blood connection is tenuous, I don't know how much thought and effort I want to invest into Vilebloods, Forbidden Blood, thing like that, since I'm not going to discover a connection. At least I don't think so. Now, Byrgenwerth, of course, is a place of learning, of, you know, sacred, forbidden, arcane knowledge, and that's a very easy connection to make. Anybody could do that, and that would be, of course, with Miskatonic University in Arkham. Now, the thing with Miskatonic is, you know, a lot of later adaptations and parodies and whatnot, things like that, would turn it into sort of this sort of jokey place where, yeah, everyone studies the Cthulhu mythos out in the open and they just talk about it. Whereas, as you know, with Lovecraft, it was just their library had, you know, some mythos tomes in it, and Armitage, of course, knew about this, and plenty of stories had, like, you know, Lovecraft liked to feature stories about, like, university students or professors or things like that, and they often had a link to Miskatonic. But the place itself is not like a place of forbidden knowledge or anything, but it is the best connection we're going to make there. This town is long abandoned, hunters not wanted here. And so of course we have to tear it open and break into Old Yarnum.
Hunter! Didn't you see the warning? Turn back at once. Old Yarnum, burned and abandoned by men, is now home only to beasts. They are of no harm to those alone. Turn back, or the hunter will face the hunt.
Right. So that voice that's talking to us is Jura. Or Jura. I think it's just Jura, but I could be wrong. And he has a quest line that you can do. And you can also just kill him. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just reading for any sort of interesting lore plot points. Okay, so at one point he says, "Yes, very good. I no longer dream, but I was once a hunter too. The things you hunt, they're not beasts, they're people. You have the whole night to dream. Make the best of it." Huh. And if he kills you, he says, "I should think you still have dreams. Well, next time you dream, give some thought to the hunt and its purpose." And he also says, "You still dream, I should think. Then come as often as you like. I'll show you another death." See, now this is the really interesting thing. And it's sort of tricky for them, you know, FromSoft, of trying to either just ignore the whole respawning thing or try and make it part of the lore. And for Bloodborne, they seem to make it part of the lore. This character acknowledges the fact that you can revive, you can come back over and over and over. But if he dies, he's done. He's dead. It's over. And basically he's saying, as long as, since you're a hunter and you're still dreaming, unlike him, he's no longer sees the dreams, you're still dreaming, that's what allows you, or that's an effect of the fact that you can keep respawning, reviving. And the one that is responsible for this effect, the one that's providing this whole dream thing for you, is the moon presence. And or, by extension, Gehrman. Because Gehrman has the capability of stopping that dream and allowing you to wake up. And so once you wake up, you are completely mortal. You are just you're somebody like Jura, who used to dream, but he no longer does, and so he understands his own mortality, and he understands what's happening to you. The real question I have is, why?
You are a skilled hunter, adept, merciless. I've cut with blood, as
Shit. If the moon presence is responsible for, you know, your sort of recurring dream, Why does he do this? Why does he give you this ability, per se, and he makes you go through this nightmare, this night, until, you know, Gehrman releases you? What does the moon presence want out of this night? And it's tricky to see. You know, we know very little about the moon presence. We know that children are involved. You know, multiple women through the course of the game are shown to be pregnant or given birth, I guess, to basically an alien. A great old one, baby. And I believe there's a note that discusses that as well. And I guess the idea is that they're all the moon presences. And I've also heard things that Odin, O-E-D-O-N, who has his own, like, chapel. So he was apparently worshipped in some form. That Odin is the moon presence. The only real issue I have with that is the only thing we really know about Odin is that he is formless. Without form. Whereas the moon presence has a very distinctive, clear, solid form. I don't know why they need to be the same entity, but I'm sure I have more reading to do. Slash him up. I'm getting slashed up. Not the best way to handle this situation. And yeah, this is what I always end up doing. Stop. Damn it. Let's see here. So, the third umbilical cord, which you can get from, well, okay. So, there's 4 umbilical cords in the game, right? And these umbilical cords are, well, I'll just read one. A great relic, also known as the Cord of the Eye. Every infant great one has this precursor to the umbilical cord. Okay? Then it says, every great one loses its child and then yearns for a surrogate. The third umbilical cord precipitated the encounter with the pale moon, which beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunter's dream. I feel like that's just like a huge lore point. So I guess, yeah, it really brings up more questions than it answers, of course. So every great one loses its child. Why? Yeah. That's a good question. I have no idea. I guess because... I mean, clearly the Great Ones must have just a completely different biological process than humans. Because there aren't that many Great Ones around. Probably because every one of them loses their child. And yet they continue to try to have children. And then yearns for a surrogate. So a surrogate, I mean, it has a broader definition than just this, but what it's most commonly known as is a surrogate mother, basically someone that's having a baby for another couple or something like that, for somebody else. They're having a baby for somebody else, so they're bringing it to term and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of odd. I mean, it's meant to be odd, right? They're aliens or whatever. But it seems they all go through a process, all these great ones, of losing a child that they themselves try to bring into life. And then all of them, according to this, yearn for someone else to bring their baby into the world. Then it says, the third umbilical cord precipitated the encounter with the pale moon. Which beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunter's dream. So what is the pale moon? See? It's just more questions. Is that pale blood? Or is that something else? Is that the pale blood moon? Phew. I know that there are other people that have dissected all this lore probably far better than I could. And I really should just read that and learn from it, but I'm trying to come up with my own opinions and thoughts because it's sort of just an exercise. But what the hell is the pale moon? Now, interestingly, that one that we're reading, the third umbilical cord, that is found in the abandoned old workshop, which is, you know, just this abandoned area underneath Yharnam that resembles very specifically the hunter's dream. And so clearly, and you also find like an old abandoned doll there as well. So, you know, clearly this is where Gehrman operated for some time while he was around here. And really, Gehrman is a very important character because he is no longer around here. He is not in Yharnam. He is only in the Hunter's Dream. That's all you ever see him as. You hear about when he was in Yharnam, and he was a hunter in the old days, but now he has, in other words, transcended the hunt. And so it says here, the third umbilical cord precipitated the encounter with the pale moon, which beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunter's dream. The pale moon beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunter's dream. If we take that to mean the moon presence, the moon presence conceived the hunter's dream. For whatever reason, it chose Gehrman to be sort of the caretaker or whatever, to form the connection and guide hunters through the night, to bring them to the hunter's dream, blah, blah, blah. There was a connection between the moon presence and Gehrman, which is a question we've asked before. And I don't know what other people have to say about the subject. I know people have written like 100-page analysis of all this stuff, and I probably should read it at some point, but... I mean, this umbilical cord that you find, damn it, in the abandoned old workshop had to belong to somebody. All the other umbilical cords you find them from women or from basically the baby. Marigo's wet nurse, you have the baby there, whatever. I don't know what's going on exactly with that. And so this page, the one that discusses the abandoned old workshop, this is what this has to say. The abandoned old workshop was the first workshop founded by Gehrman, the first of the hunters to fight the beast. When the Healing Church decided to create the Healing Church Workshop and began sanctioning hunters of their own, led by Ludwig, Gehrman's workshop fell out of use. Overcome by despair and loneliness, he used a third umbilical cord, likely to be the one found at the abandoned workshop, to contact a great one, the moon presence, in order to create the hunter's dream. The dream was designed to be a way of helping hunters with the beast hunt by bonding them to both Yharnam and the dream, so if they died in one realm, they could awake alive in the other. Hold on. Okay. That's the problem. The thought there is that, yeah, you know, if you die in Yharnam, you awake alive in the hunter's dream. And if you choose the submit your life ending for at the end, Gehrman kills you, so you die in the hunter's dream and you wake alive in Yharnam, I guess. But the problem is, that's not the only way to die in the hunter's dream. You can keep making blood bullets, or you can jump off the little cliff there over and over, and you can eventually kill yourself. So I don't know if that's really exactly what's right. And it says he was overcome by despair and loneliness. I'm not exactly sure why. My thought was that he had a wife who, on a night such as this, was made pregnant by a great old one or Great One, sorry. And that's where that third umbilical cord came from. Perhaps because he had to kill his wife or something like that. He knew it was all fucked up. Who knows? His wife, or whatever, was acting as a surrogate. She died. Just like you can kill Yosefka and Ariana to get the umbilical cords. Although I think to get the Ariana one, don't you have to wait till she gives birth? Yeah. Okay, so either way. Well, still. Same thing, really. Whether, he killed her before she gave birth or after. That's where I'm assuming the third umbilical cord came from, because it would line up with the other stuff. And maybe he did use it. See, they're saying he purposefully, used this umbilical cord in a ritual, in a purposeful effort to contact the moon presence. Whereas the description says it precipitated the encounter with the pale moon, which beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunter's dream. And, I mean, if you just look at the definition of precipitate, it says cause an event or situation, typically one that is bad or undesirable, to happen suddenly, unexpectedly, or prematurely. If Gehrman did this purposefully, then he expected it. It's not precipitated. That would be my thought. This still does not answer the fundamental question of what the hell the moon presence is, and what does he want? What does it want? What does it want with this whole series of events? Now, it seems that he wants a surrogate, right? He wants a child, a young little great one, and he's using humans to do it on a night such as this. Which is fine, but then why are the hunters involved? Why have hunters at all? In which case, I would say that the moon presence doesn't want hunters. But then, if it's in league with Gehrman would just kill you immediately, because you're just going to be a threat. You're a moon-scented hunter. You're going to cause problems. You're going around killing, all these things. If the moon presence just wants babies, it's better off if I am not in the picture, Who knows what I'll do? I could run over and kill, clearly I don't like great ones. I don't like aliens. When the aliens show up, the kin, I just slaughter them. I slaughter everything. It seems like leaving me out is the better idea. So I just don't understand the link, the connection between Gehrman and the moon presence. That's really my problem. And I don't know if there's enough in-game text to have a definitive answer. It all just seems like theory crafting. And I guess in the end that's really all it is. But that's where I sort of have a problem with this, because it's okay, I can just make up a story then. And it's there's not enough text to really disprove something. Sometimes it seems clear, but other times, I don't know. The reason I bring it up is really because it goes back to my mythos connection with the Blood Minister at the start, with Nyarlathotep. If things were a bit clearer, I could easily say, well, the moon presence doesn't want the hunter involved. But Nyarlathotep, who I discussed as being opposed to Gehrman and opposed to the moon presence, he is the one responsible for putting you in the whole mix. But Gehrman does seem overall very supportive of everything that you're doing. And I guess that's my problem. I don't know if I can really make all these connections without just making stuff up. Yeah, it's tricky. This sort of hurts my brain a little bit. This is not like Tolkien, where pretty much all the answers are there in black and white, and I can just explain it. This is murky. This is murky waters. But again, if you have any thoughts, let me know. Very eager to hear. But otherwise, we'll slowly continue marching on and stopping and discussing things. Yeah, you know. My name is Mangg. This has been my Bloodborne Lore Edition playthrough. And I'll see you fine folks in the next part.